is like no other rock piece I've listened to so far. Hi everyone. Today, I'm going to be listening to something, as usual, I've never heard before. A new band called Primus. Well, the thing is, I've been doing a lot of the big names, the big bands, and will continue to do so. But I told Vlad I would like to branch out to the side just a little bit and maybe listen to a band that was influenced by one of these big bands. Well, it turns out that Primus was heavily influenced by Pink Floyd. And since this was the Wall weekend and finally we're back getting into the Wall series again, it seemed a good time to throw in something a bit different again. So today it's going to be Primus for the first time, a song entitled Tommy the Cat. That sounds curious. We'll see how it goes. Well, of course, don't forget that you can always check out my Ko-fi and Patreon pages if you want access to everything that I produce, including the things that can't go on YouTube because of various copyright restrictions and issues, as well as early access to everything that will eventually show up here on YouTube that we've produced so far. Well, let's see what there is to know about Primus. Primus is an American rock band formed in El Sobrante, California in 1984. Primus is characterized by its irreverent, quirky approach to music, distinguished by Claypool's bass-first songwriting style and eccentric lyrical themes. That's interesting. That reminds me a bit of Frank Zappa, quirky, eccentric. Well, I don't know if it's that far out there, but possibly. The band's musical style, which draws influences from progressive rock, metal, funk, and psychedelic music, has been noted as difficult to categorize and is most frequently described by critics as funk metal, a label the band has rejected. In 1993, Robert Christgau remarked, "Primus is quite possibly the strangest top 10 band ever, and good for them." This sounds unique. Let's see how it goes.
Said Tommy the Cat, is a real back clear whatever format made this little sway into his mighty throat. Many a fat other rat met his demise while staring point blank on the cavernous barrel of this awesome prowling machine. Truly a wonder of nature, this urban predator. Tommy the Cat had many a story to tell, but it was a rare occasion such as this that he did.
I guess this is like no other rock piece I've listened to so far. It's a bit acted out, and I almost feel like I'm watching some sort of cartoon or something like that. It has this really humorous, quirky, cartoonish storytelling quality to it. Tommy the Cat. It's literally about Tommy the Cat. Okay. Very funny. Well, when I read the intro, it talked about bass-driven style. Well, this is actually quite drums-driven too. It the drums are featuring as a kind of a pacing element. By that I mean they set the tone for every section. And what they're doing at the voice is really hilarious too, because he's using different voices for different characters, different parts of the narration. Tommy the Cat has his own sound, and then whoever's talking about Tommy the Cat has his own sound. It is quirky. It is funny.
No pun intended. But not even a muscle in the neck that twitches, she sauntered straight to the heart of the alleyway. She knew what she wanted. She was looking for that stud bull. She was looking for that he cat. And that was me.
That was me.
Tommy the Cat is my name. And I say unto thee. Say, baby, do you want to lay down with me? Say, baby, do you want to lay down by my side? Baby, do you want to lay down with me? Say, baby. Say, baby.
Not particularly seductive. Say, baby, do you want to lay down with me? Say, baby, do you want to... Almost like an auctioneer, huh? This is where the tomcats sell their wares.
Say, baby. Say, baby.
Funny place for this guitar solo to be set. Before she answers. Is she going to answer? I don't even know. I guess I won't look ahead in the lyrics because I don't want to ruin the surprise if she answers. But there's a lot of suspense here. He just tried to sell himself, and then suddenly we hear a guitar solo. Well, are we waiting for her answer? Or is this guitar solo telling us something about her answer? Or is this not about her answer at all? Different ideas running through my mind. There's really back alley feel to it. Flies buzzing and rats scurrying around in the garbage, and the cats strutting their stuff in the midst of this chaos. I like that moment. Have you ever watched a semi-documentary, a movie about the natural world, where somewhere along the way some animal sticks its neck out, and it sounds like that's what's happening here.
Do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby. Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down by my side? Baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby.
It almost sounds like it's trying to mimic a little bit of, I don't know, rap maybe? I'm not sure. But it has this on the street feel to it. This is setting up these cats. as if they were human characters a bit. Well, perhaps this is not exactly about cats after all. Maybe it is telling us something about human nature, or using cats as a parable to tell a different story or something.
Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down, baby? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down, baby? Say, baby, do you wanna lay down with me? Say, baby.
And that's it. So this is truly about only Tommy the cat, and this other female feline is just in there to tell us, to let us know more about Tommy the cat. Interesting concept here. Bit of a caricature, and highly entertaining in that way. There are a couple things I want to go back and listen to, so let's do that. Isn't it interesting the way it starts out with this volley of drums, kind of tin pan sounding drums. When it first started off, well, I have to preface this by saying I pulled out an old recording just a few days back of children's songs to play for Liesel. And they are Robert Louis Stevenson's poems for children set to music. Sweet little songs. And the music is highly descriptive of and sets the poems beautifully. And I've been listening to the one about the march. Well, so I have this in the back of my mind already. I've been living it with the baby these past few days, listening to this music over and over, and listening to this music imitate a sort of children's march, children getting together and marching, and a napkin on a pole, and the music just has this cute little impromptu, improvised children's march quality. So when I first heard these drums, that's the first thing that came to my mind, because it had this kind of unpolished, unsophisticated quality to it. But actually that's not what it's doing here. It's not setting up a children's march. It's setting up this kind of chaotic back alley feel. I just had to get my head out of that Robert Louis Stevenson world for a few minutes. This is more like Dr. Seuss somehow. It has more of that feeling of humor and style. And so we hear the drums starting off. So we have this back alley feel, and then okay, and now it's kind of everything's scurrying around. And what struck me about this intro was the way it felt like not an intro, but a guitar solo moment. Well, of course you can put guitar in the intro and you can use it as a solo moment, but very often the intro feels like an intro, like it's setting us up for something. This one felt more like a commentary on something that was already discussed. At least the first time around. Of course, going back now, I can see how it's setting up this whole scenario. But the first time through, I felt as if this were a guitar solo thrown in my face at the very beginning, before there was any context or anything like that. And I was kind of intrigued by that idea. And the bass does run all over the place. Or I should say, jump all over the place. And it's great the way we have this wild, chaotic noise, busyness feeling, and then suddenly it stops. And that sudden stop, while the drums continue, really sets us up to wait, what's coming next?
Well, I remember this doggone meal ago.
And then this!
Said Tommy the cat as he reeled back clear out of a format of made this little sway into his mighty throat. Many a fat other rat met his demise while staring point blank.
It reminds me, well, I said it's kind of Dr. Seuss quality. You know, this sort of irreverent, humorous, a little bit cartoonish, not even always sensical. But somehow it has something about it that entertains us along the way. And of course, these lyrics are not playing with words like Dr. Seuss did, but they're kind of playing with ideas. And in that regard, I guess my first question of, is this irreverent and hard to categorize band, would it remind me of Frank Zappa? And it kind of does. I suppose Zappa is far more sophisticated, right? But still, if I were going to choose artists, bands, or other types of art that are well known, that would help to describe what I'm hearing here, those would be some of them. Not at all Pink Floyd. I am not hearing something that makes me think of Pink Floyd in here. Okay, knowing that Pink Floyd was an influence. Maybe it's not so obvious in this song. Or maybe his influence was different than what I envisioned it would be.
Well, you didn't listen but only to one Pink Floyd album so far.
That's true. So my knowledge of Pink Floyd is very limited too. So I've got a ways to go yet. But these are the things that I'm hearing and what's running through my mind as I listen.
Said Tommy the cat as he reeled back clear out of a format of made this little sway into his mighty throat. Many a fat other rat met his demise while staring point blank on the cover's barrel. This awesome prowling machine. Truly a wonder of nature, this urban predator. Tommy the cat had many a story to tell, but it was a rare occasion such as this that he did.
And in that moment, you hear basically the moment when she sets her foot in the alley and all the tomcats turn. Ooh, who is that? It does tell a story. It does color and paint a very dynamic, vivid picture in our minds of what's being narrated. I think that is pretty great, because to be able to take music and apply it in any way, whether it's something really deep and profound like The Wall by Pink Floyd, or something Tommy the Cat. I wouldn't call this anything deep and profound, although we can, as I said, we can think about, is this a sort of parable? Or is it just a great fun cartoon or children's story? It could be either or both at once. In fact, that's one of the things that makes great children's stories great, is that if you dig deeper, they're incredibly simple and childlike and entertaining on the surface. But if you dig deeper, there is a lot of room to explore, and especially if they're not what we would call patronizingly edifying. But as this set of lyrics says, it doesn't conclude with a prepackaged lesson. It just tells the story, and then it's up to us to decide, what are we going to do with this story? Are we going to laugh and go on our merry way, or are we going to find something significant about it? Meaningful, deep, or at least somehow educational. Is there anything in here like that? Perhaps. Because, of course, when we're talking about the way that animals relate to each other and their instincts and responses, and then we think about how humans relate to each other and their instincts and responses and the things that drive them, there are, of course, a lot of parallels. And this idea of Tommy the Cat auctioning off, selling his value, his wares, to a cat that was already supposedly looking for him. Was it just him that thought she was looking for him? He thinks so highly of himself that of course she must be searching for him. And the way it's phrased, looking for that stud bull, that he-cat. He has a huge vision of himself as a tomcat. He even goes by the name Tommy the Cat. And then all he can say is, "Say, baby, do you want to lay down with me? Say, baby, do you want to lay down by my side?" And that's all that's going through his mind. And the entire rest of the song is just this: do you want to lay down with me? And it starts sounding ridiculous and laughable and stupid. And that's exactly the point, because it is telling us that this kind of basic instinct-driven response towards another cat, another person, someone you're attracted to, if that's all you can think about, you're an idiot and you're stupid. And you are not near the person that you imagine yourself to be, because you are so wrapped up in yourself and your own ego that there is nothing that you have of substance to offer the other. Well, that's one way we could interpret it, if we want to go deeper. Interesting little song. I'm still trying to find some connection between it and Pink Floyd. I can relate to what I've heard of Pink Floyd. I can dig into it and find something to take hold of that is solid and substantive and feels like I can enjoy being there. This, I feel like I just watched a bit of Tom and Jerry or something like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. It has a little bit of a modern art feel. There is a lot of humor in it. But I'm trying to imagine, what would it be that would inspire me to say, I want to sit down and listen to Primus's Tommy the Cat? I really can't think of anything. Of course, there must be plenty of people who do want to, because, well, it is rather juvenile. We could say juvenile modern art. Cartoonish, simple, catchy, funny, not particularly deep. And if that's your thing, that's great. It is, I have to agree, it is very well presented for what it is. It catches the vibe and the scene and tells the story in a way that vividly ignites the imagination. And that is a real musical achievement. But it's not music that I am drawn towards. It's okay. Well, here I've heard a style of rock music that I haven't run into up until now. The closest thing would be probably Zappa. But that also was different. And it's interesting as well to see how some classic like Pink Floyd could influence such a different type of music. Again, I've only heard The Wall. So perhaps there's a more humorous side of Pink Floyd or a more popular side of Pink Floyd that I don't know yet. Well, here we have my first listen, and it was fun. I enjoyed it. And maybe down the road I will find more connections between Primus and Pink Floyd. But regardless, what a great caricature of cats and their lives on the street. I'll see you next time.